It's a rules making hearing for January 26, 2021 for the Contractors Licensing Board. I think we have a quorum. Carolyn, do we need to do a roll call?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead. Okay. Andy Allen.
Present.
Mark Brudd.
Present.
Jennifer Ransom.
Present.
Reese Smith. Ronnie Tickle.
Here.
Keith Whittington.
Here.
And Randy Chase.
Here.
Okay. We do have a quorum.
Okay.
Good morning.
I think I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to turn this over to Liz. And if you would, if you're not speaking, there's some people in here. I'm not sure who everybody is, but if you're not speaking, just make sure your microphone is muted, and that'll make it go a lot easier and clearer. Okay, Liz.
All right. Good morning, everyone. This is a rulemaking hearing, and it is called to order. My name is Elizabeth Bendel, and I serve as an Associate General Counsel in the Department of Commerce and Insurance, Division of Regulatory Boards, and I represent the Tennessee Board of Licensing Contractors. Would the agency representatives who are present introduce themselves for the record? This includes both the board members and the executive director. So if we could just, everyone on the record, say their name. I know we just did a roll call, but we need this for the record as well.
Carolyn, do you want to read that off again to make it so we don't talk over each other?
Yes. Andy Allen.
Andy Allen.
Mark Brudd.
Mark Brudd.
Jennifer Ransom.
Jennifer Ransom.
Reese Smith.
Reese Smith.
Ronnie Tickle.
Ronnie Tickle.
Keith Whittington.
Keith Whittington.
Randy Chase.
Randy Chase.
And I'm Carolyn Lazenby.
Thank you, everyone. As previously stated, today is Tuesday, January 26, 2021, and this is a rulemaking hearing that is taking place pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 4-5-204 via Cisco WebEx, which is a video conference platform. The purpose of this rulemaking hearing is to solicit comments on rule amendments to the rules and regulations of the Tennessee Board of Licensing Contractors. These proposed rules establish continuing professional education standards for all licensed contractors with classifications of BC-A, BC-A-r, and residential small commercial, which is BC-A, BSM, after January 1st, 2009. These rules are required to comply with Tennessee Code Annotated 62-6-112, Section G, which states that residential licensed contractors licensed on or after January 1st, 2009 must complete continuing education a minimum of 8 hours during the 2-year period prior to the expiration of their license. It must be approved by a board-approved provider. Proof of compliance with this requirement must be filed with the board biannually in the format required by the board as a condition for the maintenance of renewal of the license. A rule is defined as an agency statement of general applicability that implements or prescribes law or policy or describes the procedures or practice requirements of the agency. Proposed rules are filed with the Office of the Secretary of State and notice is given to the public for comment, and then a rulemaking hearing is held. Upon conclusion of the hearing and adoption of the proposed rules, the rules are then forwarded to the Attorney General's office for review of legality. If approved, they will then be filed with the Secretary of State, which is responsible for publication, and the Government Operations Committee of the General Assembly. The rules must stay with the Secretary of State for 90 days, then at the end of which time that will be the effective date. Those members of the public wishing to speak should put their name in the chat box, which is located to the right. If anyone has issues and wants to speak up about finding the chat box, I'd be happy to point you in the right direction. Only those who have signed up will be permitted to speak. Oral comments will not be accepted from persons who have not entered their name into the chat box. So if you would like to speak, please put your name in the chat box at this time. I'll give that a few minutes. And if anyone has, like I said, issues, please let me know.
Excuse me, this is the court reporter. If I could ask everyone who is not speaking to put their microphone on mute, please.
Okay. I'm not seeing any.
بشوف أنا بس أسف موجود.
Could everyone please put their phones on mute if possible? Thank you. I'm going to paste a copy of the rules into the chat box. So if you don't have access to them, if you hadn't previously seen them, you can click on this link and it'll pull the rules up for you. I'm not seeing any offers in the chat box, so I'm going to move on. The notice of the rulemaking hearing includes the entire text of the proposed rules. Again, I'm going to ask that everyone please put your phones on mute.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hannah, can you put yourself on mute, please?
Okay.
The notice of the rulemaking hearing includes the entire text of the proposed rules and were published on the Tennessee Administrative Register website on November 30th of 2020. Additional notice was given to the affected individuals or groups by e-notification on December 10th of 2020. Notice of this hearing and agenda were posted on the board's website on Friday, January 22nd of 2021 as well. As the agency hears public comments on the proposed rules, I reserve the right to limit such comments. It doesn't look like anyone is interested in making any comments at this time, so I will move forward on this. I will summarize the substance of the proposed rules into the record. As previously stated, these proposed rules establish continuing professional education standards for all licensed contractors with the classifications of BC-A, BC-A-r, and residential small commercial BCA-BSM after January 1st, 2009. The rule numbers are as follows. Rule number 0680-09-.01 provides for the definitions for the rules. Rule number 0680-09-.02 provides for the residential continuing education requirement. As a prerequisite for the renewal of a residential contractor's license, the classification of the ones I prior mentioned, BCA, BCA-r, and BCA-BSM, the licensee shall obtain 8 hours of board-approved residential continuing education in the residential construction industry during the 2-year period prior to the expiration of their license. Rule number 0680-09-.03 provides for the standards of acceptance of the continuing education courses. And rule number 0680-09-.04, titled Retired to Active Status, provides the residential continuing education requirements for a contractor who is going from a retired to active status. Again, I posted those rules in the chat box if anyone wanted to see them. They were also posted to the board's website and also to the Tennessee Secretary of State's website. Are there any public comments for those present at today's meeting? This will be the last opportunity for anyone to enter if they would like to speak into the chat box. I'll give that a moment.
I'm sorry, we're still getting some feedback. If someone could take their phone and put it on mute, please.
Yeah, Mr. Hannah, you're going to need to put yourself on mute. I think you might have just left.
Yeah, I think you just hung up, hopefully.
Okay.
Caroline, I would just like to confirm that if you had received any public comments prior to this meeting.
No, I have not received any.
Okay, and I have not as well. It appears that no one has any public comments. So at this time, this will conclude the rulemaking hearing. And I thank everyone from the public from being here. Board members, I'm going to have to take several measures to adopt these rules, and I will have to do a roll call a few times. First, we have to adopt the regulatory flexibility addendum, which you should have received a copy of yesterday. If you wanted to review that document again, otherwise I'm going to read a short summary into the record as well. Pursuant to TCA 4-5401 through 4-5404, prior to initiating the rulemaking process, all agencies shall conduct a review of whether a proposed rule affects small businesses. There were approximately 17,400 licensed contractors with the classification of BCA-R, residential contractors, potentially affected by this proposed new rule. And these proposed new rules would require minimal, if any, cost for compliance. Furthermore, the proposed rules, while they may have an impact on small businesses and consumers, this impact is minimal for both groups. and an exemption of small businesses from these requirements would not be beneficial. As these proposed rules establish the requirement of continuing professional education for contractors with a residential classification, the board knows of no less burdensome, no less intrusive, or less costly alternative method of achieving this purpose and the objectives of the proposed rules. And the board knows of no similar rules or regulations currently in effect. I will now need a motion to adopt the regulatory flexibility addendum. If Carolyn, if you would do a roll call and a motion, or someone, please. Sorry.
This Mark will move for that motion. And I second.
Okay, I'll do a roll call. Andy Allen,
Yes.
Mark Brud,
Yes.
Jennifer Ransom,
Yes.
Reese Smith,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
Keith Whittington,
Yes.
Randy Chase.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Ms. Lazenby, may I ask who made the motion in the second?
Mark Brud, did you make the motion?
Yes.
And then the second was made by
Keith Whittington.
Keith Whittington. Thank you.
Thank you.
The second is I need to adopt the impact on local government statement, which is pursuant to TCA 4-5-228. The Tennessee Board for Licensing Contractors foresees no impact on any local governments, these rules. I will now need a motion to adopt this local impact on government statement.
This is Keith Whittington. I make a motion, we accept the statement.
Ronnie Tickle, I second.
Okay, I'll do a roll call vote. Andy Allen,
Yes.
Mark Brud,
Yes.
Jennifer Ransom,
Yes.
Reese Smith,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
Keith Whittington,
Yes.
and Randy Chase.
Yes.
And lastly, you all should have received a copy of the additional information that's required by the Joint Government Operations Committee. All agencies, upon filing a rule, must submit the following pursuant to TCA 4-5226I1. Please review this document and let me know if you have any questions or concerns. If none, I will need a motion to adopt this responsive information followed by a roll call vote as well.
Liz, this is Randy. Are you seeing in the chat room? There's someone named Tom Dorsey that's acting like he submitted something, but we didn't recognize him. Do you see that?
So, Mr. Dorsey, if you wanted to submit your question into the chat, we can proceed forward. I can keep pursuant to the law, I can keep the question period open after the rulemaking hearing. So technically on the record, the rulemaking hearing is complete. However, we want to be able to answer all questions. So if you could submit your question and then we can provide an answer either on the record or at a later date prior to submitting the rule for completion.
This is Ronnie. Can we ask questions?
Yeah, of course.
On the active membership in a professional trade association, when a member of the association gets ready to get his license, does he have to send his membership form with that license so you can see that he or she is a member of an association?
So that's not related to the rules, but I can definitely look into that and get back to you with that answer. I don't want to give you the wrong information.
I'm looking at state of Tennessee. I'm just looking at something else. Public chapter number 186, House Bill 1064, and on this bill right here, it says active membership in professional trade association approved by the board qualifies as 4 hours of continuing education annually. Proof of membership must be filed.
Yeah, so you would provide that proof with your renewal, and that would count towards those 4 hours.
Okay. All right. That's what I thought, but I didn't know. Anyway, that's fine.
Sorry.
Okay, Liz, so do we need a motion to kind of finalize things and then we can entertain Mr. Dorsey maybe? Oop. Can't hear you, Liz.
I need a motion to adopt the additional information for the Joint Government Operations Committee, and then we can circle back to Tom Dorsey and Jeanette Porter.
I'll make the motion to adopt the additional information.
This Keith
that-
Whittington, second.
That was Mark Brudd and Keith Whittington, Jenny.
Okay, and I'll do the roll call. Andy Allen,
Yes.
Mark Brudd,
Yes.
Jennifer Ransom,
Yes.
Reese Smith,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
Keith Whittington,
Yes.
and Randy Chase.
Yes.
Ms. Jeanette Porter, if you would like to enter your question into the chat or on the record, please do so now. So for Mrs. Jeanette Porter's question was, how does a company apply to become a continuing education provider? Or can you tell me who I can speak to with that about? I'd be happy to shoot you an email if you would provide your email address, and I can give you the further information. Furthermore, Section 3 of the new rules lists out the requirements for continuing education classes, and that should be helpful in answering your question, but I would be happy to discuss this further with you if you would like, and how to become a provider. And then, okay, and then I believe Tom Dorsey's, he wrote, my concern was regarding the rulemaking. There are many out-of-state companies that have not complied with the pre-licensing exam prep provider requirement, meaning offering exam prep without being approved. Is there any provision to limit companies that are circumvented when the exam prep approval process from becoming a CE provider? Caroline, I'm not sure if you have more knowledge on that particular concern. If not, I'd be happy to look into that, because I wouldn't want to put on the record wrong information.
I can address that. This will be a little easier to keep up with than the exam prep providers. We will only accept continuing education from those that have been approved by the board. So in order to, for example, when a contractor renews his license, he is going to provide a certificate of where he obtained his continuing education, and it will have to be from one of the approved providers that the board has looked at. And so we'll be able to keep up with this a lot easier and a lot better control over who goes and takes a exam prep class.
Thank you, Caroline. I hope that answered your question, Mr. Dorsey. Does anyone else, I just want to make sure we didn't miss anyone else. We have Ms. Porter and Mr. Dorsey's comments on the record. I will be getting back to Ms. Porter, and I have Mr. Dorsey's email as well. Does anyone else have any additional comments at this time? If not, then this will conclude the rulemaking hearing. The next steps will be to put this rules on a rulemaking filing form, which will be submitted to the Attorney General's office for review and approval. And once the Attorney General signs those rules, they will be filed with the Secretary of State, and they will generally become effective 90 days from that date of filing. That concludes this hearing.
All right. Do we need to do anything formally, Carolyn, other than that, or is it... You're muted. You're off, Carolyn.
Yes, I'm off. Liz, do we need to adjourn the meeting, or do we have to vote to adjourn, or just pause?
You do not have to vote to adjourn.
Okay, good, good.
So I will see you all at 10 a.m.
Okay, so
Thank you, Liz.
Return at the same WebEx at 10 o'clock. Thank you.
See you then.
Thank you.
Hello.
Meeting to order. This is the January 26th, 2021 Board for Licensing Contractors meeting. Just real quick, as we talked earlier, if you're on the call and you're not speaking, please hit your mute button. Otherwise, we get a bunch of feedback and it makes the meeting difficult to go through. So I see several people over and above the board and staff on the call, and that's great. We're glad you're there, but you just really need to mute your phone or your computer for the meeting, please. Okay, Carolyn, I guess we need a roll call for the members.
Yes. We do a roll call. Andy Allen,
Present.
Mark Brudd,
Present.
Jennifer Ransom,
Present.
Reese Smith,
Here.
Ronnie Tickle,
Here.
Keith Whittington,
Here.
and Randy Chase.
Here. Okay, Liz, do you want to read in the statement of necessity?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. The Board for Licensing Contractors is meeting by electronic means to conduct essential business as authorized by Governor Lee's Executive Order 16 and extended by Executive Order 71. Meeting remotely is considered a reasonable measure to protect the safety and welfare of Tennesseans while ensuring government business may continue in a manner that is open and accessible to the public. All votes by the board will be called by roll call.
Okay, thank you, Liz. We need to adopt the agenda. If I can get a motion in a second.
Randy, this is Keith Whittington. I make a motion we adopt the agenda.
This is Ronnie. I second.
Okay, Carolyn.
Andy Allen,
Yes.
Mark Brudd, Jennifer Ransom,
Yes.
Reese Smith,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
Keith Whittington,
Yes.
and Randy Chase.
Yes. Okay, the agenda is adopted. We now need to move into our annual requirements for 2021 and the election of officers. Carolyn, remind me who's going to be the secretary?
Okay. I guess we go ahead. We've already got Keith Whittington served as vice chair, and Andy Allen will move up to, Keith Whittington was vice chair, so he can move up to chairman. Andy Allen is currently secretary, so he will move up to vice chairman. And then I wanted a nomination for a secretary.
This is Ronnie. I nominate Reese Smith.
Do we have do we need to second that? Reese, are you there? Is Reese on the call?
He must have dropped off.
When he heard he was going to be nominated for secretary, he dropped off.
Yeah, I think that means he doesn't want it. He's run.
Did you talk to him, Carolyn, about doing it?
Yes, he's not interested in acting as secretary.
What about Mark?
Yes, do
I
you
would
want
be
to?
happy to do it.
Okay.
I second the nomination of Mark Brutt then.
Okay.
This is Ronnie. I second it.
Okay.
Okay, so do we need to just get a motion in a second for those three
Yes.
positions?
Yes. And then I'll do a roll call.
So can I get a nomination, a motion for Keith, Andy, and Mark as chairman, vice chairman, and secretary?
This is Ronnie. I make a motion.
All right, we had a couple of motions there. Can we get one of them as a second?
This is
Yeah,
Jennifer
this is
Randall.
Ronnie. I second.
Okay. Who did the motion? Reese, was that you that made the motion?
That'll be good. Yes,
Okay. And Ronnie, did you second?
I did.
Ronnie Tickle second. Okay. I'll do a roll call vote. Andy Allen,
Yes.
Mark Brutt,
Yes.
Jennifer Ransom,
Yes.
Reese Smith,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
Keith Whittington,
Yes.
and Randy Chase.
Yes.
And thank you, Randy, for doing such a good job as chairman. So Keith Whittington gets to take over now.
All right, Keith, we'll hand it off to you. I know I'll sure be glad we can do these things in person again, so we don't have to do all these roll calls and talking over each other and everything. But good luck, Keith.
All right, Randy, and a true heartfelt, sincere congratulations for your 2 years as chairman of the board, and we appreciate it tremendously.
Well, thank you. No problem. I enjoyed doing it.
The next thing on the agenda is to adopt the Roberts Rules of Orders. I'll entertain a motion for that at this time.
Andy
This is Mark, I'll move for that.
Okay, I've got a motion from Mark and a second from Andy. Can we get anybody got any discussion? If not, then I guess we'll proceed with a roll call vote.
Okay. Andy Allen,
Yes.
Mark Brutt,
Yes.
Randy Chase,
Yes.
Jennifer Ransom,
Yes.
Reese Smith,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
and Keith Whittington.
Yes. The next thing on the agenda is the conflict of interest policy. Carolyn emailed each one of us a conflict of interest, and she will need to make sure that we all sign a copy of that, read it, understand it, and get it emailed back into her as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Anything to add to that, Carolyn?
No, just like you said, just scan it, sign it, scan it back to me as soon as possible. The deadline is the 29th, so if you could get it in right away, that'd be great.
All right. The next thing is the meeting minutes, and I don't think that any of us really got those early enough last night to be able to review them. So I'm going to suggest that someone make a motion that we table approval of those meeting minutes until our March meeting, so everyone will have ample time to review, and then we can approve them at the March meeting.
Keith, I actually looked at them. They're really quite short. Just a summary of what we voted on and who voted for what they did. There wasn't much commentary with it.
Very good. Then, Mark, if you did, you want to make a motion, then we can approve them. Then we don't have to table them until March. We can just approve them. I personally didn't get a chance to review them, and I'll accept your acceptance if you're good with them.
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we approve them.
And this is just for July.
This is Randy. I'll second that motion.
Okay. Do a roll call. Andy Allen,
Yeah.
Mark Brudd,
Yes.
Randy Chase,
Yes.
Jennifer Ransom,
Yes.
Reese Smith,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
and Keith Whittington.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, now that was for the meeting minutes of the July meeting. Is that correct?
Yes, and I will be forwarding you all hopefully the September and November by next meeting, along with the January. So hopefully we'll get up to date.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda then are the hardships. I need a motion that we ratify those hardships.
This is Randy. I make a motion that we approve the hardships as presented.
This is Mark. I'll second.
We've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, then Carolyn, would you do a roll call vote?
Yes, Andy Allen,
Yes.
Mark Brudd,
Yes.
Randy Chase,
Yes.
Jennifer Ransom,
Yes.
Reese Smith,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
and Keith Whittington.
Yes.
Hey, Carolyn, can I ask a question? Did you have a chance to look at Swanson Commercial Construction LLC?
Yes, and they applied for a hardship. And so I don't know if they may have not made it on the list, but I will make sure it gets on the list.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda in license reviews is initial applications or waived interviews. Can I get a motion that we approve the waived interviews?
So
This is
moved, Reese.
second, Randy.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If no discussion, then we'll do a roll call vote for approval.
Andy Allen,
Yes.
Mark Brudd,
Yes.
Randy Chase,
Yes.
Jennifer Ransom,
Yes.
Reese Smith,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
and Keith Whittington.
Yes. Okay, the next item on the agenda are applications with factors. Carolyn, if you'll take each board member that has those by
Okay.
in order, and then we can let those present their discussion.
Okay. The first one is for Mark Brudd, license number 75868. SMG Home Remedies. And he made a recommendation of $500 fine for home improvement projects over $3,000 in Shelby County.
Correct.
Okay. And then the next one is 75875 Nesbitt Construction and Investments. This was also home improvement projects over $3,000 in Shelby County, reviewed by Mark Brudd and recommended $500 fine. Next one, oh, sorry. Did you want to discuss that?
Agree with that, Carolyn. Go ahead.
Was that okay?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. The next one is 75934 All-Star Electric with Sherman Martin Powell out of North Carolina, asking for a 4-month temporary license to take business and law exam and get a reviewed financial. And this one was due to COVID, unable to get the test taken any sooner. And we also had a state representative contact us and ask us to help him in getting a license. And I believe Andy Allen reviewed this file.
Yes, ma'am, I did. Everything looks like they're in order, guys. This is a reciprocation from North Carolina, and they also have their license in other states. I see nothing wrong with this. They showed proof where they've been trying to take this Tennessee business and law exam, and the testing agency is just booked up, I guess, due to COVID until, or is it 4 months? So I don't see anything wrong with giving them a temporary reciprocation license for the next 4 months. And then as soon as that date that got, as soon as they take that test, they're to report that in. And if they fail that test, the license would, of course, be null and void. But if they pass that test, it's a permanent reciprocation license.
Okay, thank you. Next on the list is 46684. This is Capital Homes, Inc. This is a increase request made for, they currently have a limit of $654,600, and they're just asking for an increase to $1 million. Their financials are all in order, but their legal report from 2018 had to flag for when they applied for renewal or any type of change in their license to make sure that they had settled everything with the homeowner. It was a complaint where they failed to abide with a 1-year warranty along with some other issues. I contacted the owner, David, I believe his name was David Lukey, and he said that everything had been taken care of and they had settled with the homeowner. So everything looks to be in order. I believe Benny Jones also reviewed the revision. But anyway, I think they would be fine for an increase to $1 million if that's okay with everybody. Any questions on that one? If not, I will go to the next one, 75662. This is a revision, Advanced Landscape LLC out of Memphis. The reason Keith Whittington reviewed this file, and it found where home improvement projects were performed over $3,000 in Shelby County, and he's asked to refer this to legal to review, and we'll wait to issue that license until they are able to investigate that, whether it needs to be a complaint. The next one is 71626, also a revision. This is Reconstruction Services LLC out of Memphis. They had requested an increase, and this was denied due to lack of experience. And Keith Whittington reviewed this one, and his reason is they need to work on larger projects closer to their limit. So we will need the board to vote on that recommendation.
Yeah, Carolyn, they were actually requesting an increase to 2,700,000 or so. The largest project they had done was 290,000. Their limit currently sits at $1 million, and I really wanted to see a little more dollar-wise experience there before we just jumped them from 200,000 or whatever it was all the way up to 2,700,000.
Okay. Next on the list is license number 72618. It's also a revision. Canico Builders out of Hendersonville. They had a project over their limit, and Keith Whittington reviewed this file and has recommended a $2,000 fine. Any questions on that one? Next is 64961, also a revision. The name of the company is Five Brothers Contracting Service. They have an open complaint, and Keith Whittington reviewed this file, and the recommendation is to hold for resolution of the complaint. The next one is 75775, Weatherproof Roofing LLC out of Murfreesboro. The projects were listed were over $3,000 in home improvement counties, and Randy Chase reviewed this file. He's recommended a $600 total fine, and that's $150 for 4 offenses. Next is a home improvement license applicant. This is for Precision Demolition LLC. On this case, we just received a complaint and it's still being investigated. So we are wanting to hold this one for resolution of the complaint. Also, the last one is 75866 HBG Construction LLC out of Brentwood. This contractor also has an open complaint. It's a new complaint and it has still needing to be investigated. So we want to also hold for resolution of the complaint for this one as well. And that's all.
Hey, Carolyn, did you want me to update on any of those cases with open complaints? I just looked at Five Brothers as well.
If does the board members have questions about Five Brothers that they want to see?
Yeah, I think we can, what have you got, Jesse?
So Five Brothers was handled by the other attorney who has recently left our office. She's actually filed this for a hearing. So we have a hearing set for this. I'm not sure who will be handling that yet, but that will be in March. So if we're able to settle it before then, Keith, or because I think you had reviewed it, do you want us to just to let you know so that way you can issue the monetary increase, or do you want to wait to see what happens at the hearing?
Let's see what happens at the hearing.
Okay. And then I think with Precision and HBG, I know Benny and Carolyn had looked at those, but those are pretty recent complaints. So we'll likely have those complaints to the board to review in the legal report in March. But I think Carolyn and if Benny needs to be looped in, we can revisit those at that next hearing or the next board meeting as well. But that was all I had. Thank you.
Okay, now that's all the applications with factors. We've got revisions, increases, add class, mode, and name changes. All of these have been reviewed by a board member. I will entertain a motion that we approve all revisions.
So moved, Keith.
I'll second that. This is Randy.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Carolyn, a roll call vote, please.
Andy Allen,
Yes.
Mark Brudd,
Yes.
Randy Chase,
Yes.
Jennifer Ransom,
Yes.
Reese Smith,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
and Keith Whittington.
Yes. Then we have LLEs. Andy, did you look those over?
Yes, sir, I did, and there was just 4 of them, and they all look good.
Okay, and then the LLPs.
Yeah, I looked over those and approved those 3 that are on the list, so I'm good with them.
Okay. Then home improvement applications. All of these have been approved as well. Can we get a motion to accept the LLEs, the LLPs, and the home improvement?
It's Ronnie. I make the motion.
I'll second this, Reese.
Okay. Roll call. Andy Allen,
Yes.
Mark Brudd,
Yes.
Randy Chase,
Yes.
Jennifer Ransom,
Yes.
Reese Smith,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
and Keith Whittington.
Yes. Now I see here in the chat box we've got Timothy Fisher that has asked a question of the board for Weatherproof Roofing LLC application. Aside from the fine, how do we get that taken care of the quickest and proceed with licensing? Timothy, what you'll have to do is you'll get a, I guess it's a civil penalty agreement that you'll need to sign and pay the fine. And as soon as that's received and cleared, then we can proceed with issuing the license. Okay, now the next thing up on here is I've got one that's not on the agenda, and I don't know why or how we left it off, but we also have the Italian companies that we approved about 6 months ago for licensure until they could take their exams. And I think that we have Chris Cravens on board with us. So now we're getting a feedback all of a sudden. Chris, go ahead and explain in brief if you could.
Thank you, Mr. Whittington. These are the three Italian suppliers to the Electrolux manufacturing facility in Springfield. The board voted back in July unanimously to approve their license applications. The board at the July meeting, as opposed to giving them the full 2-year licenses, I should say, approved them for a period of 6 months, meaning that their license, all three of these companies who are Constructa Sistemi, SARES, SARES, and also the QS Group, all three of those licenses are set to expire at the end of this month. The problem for them is the same today, really, as, as it was in July. They do not fall within the exceptions, what are called national interest exceptions to then President Trump's March 11 travel ban, which prevents them from traveling from Italy to the United States to take their business and law exams. And so on their behalf, I'm simply asking that those 6 month licenses be extended, perhaps for some reasonable amount of time, with the hope and maybe expectation that once the vaccinations, I should say, are speculation on my part, but I'm thinking that this ban is probably not going to be lifted for them until the vaccinations are, taking kind of a full force. But they have all been approved. They all currently have licenses. The problem for all of them, again, is simply being able to come to America to take the business law exam. Carolyn did check on the possibility of them taking these examinations online while in Italy. And I think, Carolyn, you checked on this either Thursday or Friday of last week with PSI, and you were told that that option is simply not available.
Carolyn, you're muted.
Yes, that's correct. They're not anywhere close to having online exams, especially since ours is open book.
Okay. Any motion from the board as to how you would like to proceed with this? I mean, it's either we renew it every 6 months, or do we make it a permanent renewal, or do we renew it for a year? Carolyn, is there anything in the statute that created this temporary licensing that says it has to be 6 months?
No, it's not limited to 6 months. It's just up to whatever the board thinks is best during this pandemic.
I'll entertain a motion from the board. Your thoughts?
With Mark, Keith, I would recommend that we extend it 6 months.
Andy,
Okay,
I
I've
would
got a motion. Can I get a second?
I think Andy seconded it.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Let's do a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Andy Allen,
Yes.
Mark Brudd,
Yes,
Randy Chase,
Yes.
Jennifer Ransom,
Yes.
Bree Smith,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
Keith Whittington.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, the next thing on
Mr.
the
Chairman, may
agenda-
I be excused from the meeting?
Yes, you can.
Thank you very much, members of the board. Thank you, Carolyn.
The next thing on the agenda is approval of the pre-licensing course. Providers, we've got an application for them. It's Certified Training Institute. Has everyone had a chance to look that application over? Carolyn, is there anything we need to know about this application?
Everything is in order. They pay their fee. They have their bond and insurance. They're licensed in several states, and they don't have any complaints. And they're just only requesting to offer 3 courses for business and law, residential, and small commercial.
I'll entertain a motion to approve or whatever is the will of the board.
This is Randy. I make a motion we approve it as presented since Carolyn said everything was in order. I didn't see any issues with it either.
I'll second, Mr. Mark.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll do a roll call vote then, Carolyn.
Andy Allen,
Yes.
Mark Brudd,
Yes,
Randy Chase,
Yes.
Jennifer Ransom,
Yes.
Reese Smith,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
and Keith Whittington.
Yes. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the legal report. Our attorney, Jesse Gentry, I guess you want to go over those and highlight the ones that have been any questions brought up about the recommendations.
Perfect. Thank you. So far, as I think everyone's received the legal report, I only had 2 cases where there were recommendations to or change the recommendations. There would be number 6 on the legal report, which is case number 2020-080531. The recommendation was to authorize the assessment of a $500 civil penalty for unlicensed contracting, and the decision instead was to do a letter of warning. And then number 2, which is 2020-075311. The original recommendation was to close and flag or open a second case as a separate matter. The decision was to just close and flag that case. Did anyone else have any other cases they would like to discuss on this legal report?
I would like to discuss number 88. I don't know if this is the right time or if we're doing commercial separate.
I think we can do 88 now. I'll scroll down to that. Okay, number 88. I remember this one now. But did you have questions about this one?
I just don't feel like a letter of warning is warranted here. I mean, he had a plumbing leak. I don't see if we wrote a letter of warning to every plumber that had a leak, we would be writing a lot of letters. So I just vote that we close it.
Okay. And I think that makes sense. I think with the recommendation for a letter of warning was just based on the damages that occurred after the homeowner tried to fix the leak. But I think closing would be appropriate as well.
Yeah, and I would also be afraid that a letter of warning would, if they go to sue these people for whatever damages, letter of warning from the Board of License and Contractors would not fare well if he said that it wasn't his leak, and we'd have no idea whose leak it was.
Right, I agree.
I'll agree with that too. Anything else, anyone, for the legal report? If not, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the legal report as amended.
This is Randy. I'll make a motion that we accept it as presented and amended.
Andy Allen seconds it.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Carolyn, let's do a roll call vote then, please.
Okay. Andy Allen,
Yes.
Mark Brudd,
Yes.
Randy Chase,
Yes.
Jennifer Ransom,
Yes.
Reese Smith,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
and Keith Whittington.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, the next thing up on the agenda is our goal build update. Do we have Brian Kelly with us?
Hello. Yes, you do.
Very good. You may proceed, sir.
Great. Thank you, everyone. I do want to start out by pointing out that 2020 was an atypical year for the U.S. and the Go Build TN grassroots campaign was forced to enter into a sort of holding pattern as we've navigated the COVID-19 pandemic. Go Build TN was able to be involved with the Department of Education Partners in Education Conference, the Home Builders Association of Middle Tennessee Home Show, and the Battle of the Build in January and February of 2020. After the World Health Organization declared the novel coronavirus pandemic, nearly every event on our 2020 calendar was either canceled or rescheduled to 2021 or later. New Go Build TN initiatives that were intended to launch in 2020 became kind of logistically difficult, and so we decided to delay launch of new things until 2021. To touch on our online results for 2020, did see a clear upside to online platforms for engaging audiences during the COVID-19 pandemic. With millions of Tennesseans connected to social media platforms, we have a really good ability to connect and inform people. During 2020, we saw unexpected increases in page traffic, views, engagement, and time spent on pages across our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, email campaigns. As a consequence of that increased engagement, we did see a marked increase in individuals reaching out to our staff for information about career transitions into construction and for information regarding training programs and opportunities. It was kind of a product of being deemed an essential industry when others were sort of in contraction, that we had a lot of people that were suddenly interested in jobs in construction. We expect in 2021 to continue seeing some increased traffic and interest in our online campaigns. We intend to continue leveraging the increased industry that our we are receiving as a result of being an essential industry to increase referrals to training programs and into TCAT schools. Our 2021 strategy for grassroots basically centers around 2 events that we are going to be hosting.
I think we lost him.
I think
good
we have.
report.
Brian.
Yeah, thanks for your report.
Okay, we'll give Brian just a second to realize what's going on there, but I think we know pretty much what he was saying. It's been a tough year. 2020 was bad. Hopefully 2021 will get better. I like Randy earlier. I would like to see us be able to get back to meeting in person. It would make these meetings go a lot better, as I know that we all have to sacrifice and do a great bit of work in between meetings, and not that we don't anyway, but hopefully we can get back in person soon. Carolyn, let's move along to the board updates then, and give us your updates, please. You're muted.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Our budget right now is our total reserves is over 4.5 million. Our current balance, however, is $99,873. And this is really where the legislature wants us. They do not want us making any money because any money that we make, if it's over what it takes to operate, they want us to lower our fees. So right now we're doing good. As far as legislation update, also we did give Go Build a $88,000 check. So we did provide that to them. Unfortunately, the way the department does their books, the $88,000 come out of our budget for this fiscal year, but it really shouldn't, and they just started to keep separate books for that. Also on the legislation update, there is what's called, I guess it's not a bill yet, but more like a universal licensing recognition bill for regulatory boards, and it would allow anyone who is licensed in another state to obtain a license recognition through a more streamlined process. Right now, and I think I sent all of you a draft of the bill. It has not been officially introduced, and we don't know if it's going to be. The department had asked for feedback from some of the representatives at various associations, and so they are reviewing that. They're reviewing their concerns, and so all of this is being discussed. If the bill does get introduced, I'll be sure and forward to this bill to all of you as soon as that happens. But again, right now, we don't know if it's going to. The only other legislation that has been dropped is actually a same bill that the homeowners, the Home Builders Association lobbied for last year, and this is the homeowner permits. It's to make it so whenever homeowners obtain permits, it goes on record with the deeds office to show that a licensed contractor did not build the house. So that's being reintroduced this year. So far, that's the only bills that I've got, but as I get more, I'll be sure and forward these to you. I believe in my email today, I do have another one that's come up, but I haven't had a chance to review it. Also, just to give you a formal hearings update, like Brian has said, 2020 has been a challenge for having hearings, but Jesse's done really good with going ahead with moving on, holding some formal hearings. And so he did have over 12 scheduled this year. Usually, as y'all know, they'll settle right before the hearing. So 5 of those have settled. We did have 2 scheduled this month, and we've got one Friday coming up. So he's doing really good with the formal hearings.
Carolyn, we had 3 set this month.
Oh, was it 3?
We had 3, and so 2 of them settled. The one for this afternoon settled. The one for
That's
earlier
right.
this month settled, and then there's the one for Friday had been rescheduled because of the bombing in downtown Nashville. So that was rescheduled for Friday. So that should go forward. So we should have resolved 3 this month.
That's great. And Regina Odom, our paralegal, she did really good. She come up with she looked at all the case totals for 2020 and showed that for that year last year we had over 582 open cases. We closed 551, and then 633 was presented to the board last year. So our legal team was doing really good, and along with our board, by getting these reviewed. Most of them are on our metrics is what our performance is measured on. We showed that we got a 99% closure rate on getting our complaints presented to the board within 180 days. So our metrics look really good. And our next meeting is March 30th. And so keep March 30th open, and also March 31st. We don't know yet if we're going to have a formal set that day or not, but as soon as I find out, I'll let all you know. Any questions?
Carolyn, do we have anything for tomorrow? Hello?
Yep. We'll be done after this. I believe that's all we have.
Okay, so nothing for tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, Brian is back, and let's just let Brian do a little summary of finish up there what he was speaking of. Please, Brian.
I'm very sorry for that. I'm not exactly sure where you guys lost me. But essentially, we expect in 2021 to continue seeing increased traffic and interest in our online programs. We're leveraging that interest into referrals to training programs and TCAT schools around the state. For our grassroots strategy for 2021, it's centering on our Touch a Truck event and a new event or a new program we're calling Carpentry 101. The Touch a Truck event has grown tremendously in the 3 years that we've done it. In 2019, we had over 4,500 people come out to the Adventure Science Center to attend the event. This year, that's not really necessarily a good thing. So we've decided to restructure the event over 3 weekends, March 20th, March 27th, and April 3rd, and to break the event into 3 different areas of construction. So the first weekend will be road building centered, the second will be commercial construction centered, and the third will be residential centered. Attention and care will be given to safety, and PPE will be utilized when appropriate to ensure a safe event. We anticipate turnout will be a bit lower, and that individuals will use personal responsibility to ensure their children engage with the event in a safe manner. We always are keeping our eyes open to the news and making sure that if anything unforeseen happens, then we can pivot the event to another date. But right now, we are excited about bringing this back. Our Carpentry 101 program is sort of envisioned as a way to get high school aged individuals involved with hands-on building projects. We view this as a pilot program, and we're going to be doing it at the Adventure Science Center, sort of in partnership with our Touch a Truck event. It's going to be a volunteer-driven program, and it's going to be executed with donated materials and funds. It's going to take place over a couple of weekends, and essentially we're going to have a group of students build a shed. At the end of it, we're going to auction the shed for charity or to continue to buy materials and to host the program again. So we are also, My internet seems to be lagging again. But anyway, to keep it brief, we do intend to get back to the grassroots program schedule once events start to open back up around the state.
All right. We appreciate that, Brian. Over in the comment chat box, I see that we've got an item that needs to be addressed. I'm not sure if it was on the agenda. It's from Trevor Phillips and Dynamic Roofing. They've got an item they're wanting to address. Can we, Elizabeth, can we address that?
Can everyone hear me?
Mr. Phillips can make his comment on the record, yes.
Thank you. I help represent Dynamic National. We are a commercial roofing company, and we actually have we have a number of licenses in a number of states. We had submitted our application back in July, and it was being reviewed, but the only thing that we had left was to take our exam, and we had passed it, and we're hoping to get approval of our license for this meeting, but we never saw our application addressed here, and it's pretty crucial for timing here. We have a number of clients that have some projects they want us to take a look at.
What I can do is see read messages. What we can do is pull it. I don't think we got it. I'm sorry, she's texted me on another one. But what we'll do, we'll check on Dynamic, and we'll make sure if everything's here, we'll get it approved, and we'll put it on the hardship list if it didn't make it on another list to be approved. So any of these on here that they are asking about, if they didn't get approved, we'll get them approved to the hardship. Make sure they get approved today.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
All right. That seems to be all that we have on the agenda. I will entertain a motion that we adjourn. Can I get a motion?
Andy Allen.
So moved to adjourn. Reese.
Thank you, Reese. Can I get a second?
Andy Allen, second.
Got a motion and a second. Then I don't guess we need to do a roll call, but do we?
Liz, do we need to do a roll call on adjourning?
You do need to do a roll call to adjourn.
Okay. Andy Allen,
Yes.
Mark Brudd,
Yes.
Randy Chase,
Yes.
Jennifer Ransom,
Yes.
Reese Smith,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
and Keith Whittington.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to thank everybody for attending today's meeting, and we will be in touch soon. Be safe.
Thanks, everybody. See you.
Thank you, guys.